Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attacks which killed the top public prosecutor of Egypt. The State Council approves the draft law of land transport and reviews legislations organizing the wastewater sector. And the Special Economic Zone Authority at Duqm and Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry sign a memorandum of understanding to provide services for the investors. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. The Sultanate condemned the terrorist attacks which targeted Hisham Barkat, the Egyptian top public prosecutor, and claimed his life. The Foreign Ministry said in a statement that this terrorist attack calls for the collaboration of international community to combat terrorism and eradicate its sources. The Sultanate also expresses its solidarity with the government of the Arab Republic of Egypt. State Council approved during its session today the draft law of the land transport forwarded from the Council of Ministers. The draft law included a rail project that will link the Sultanate with other Gulf Cooperation Council countries. The State Council also highlighted the legislations organizing the wastewater sector and the contamination of groundwater by wastewater. The Council mentioned that there are many wastewater discharging violations taking place by tankers. The session was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfoud al-Mandari, Chairman of the State Council. The Higher Committee for Elections of Shura Council members held its fourth meeting for the 8th term today. The committee discussed appeals and decisions of election committees in the wilayas and issuing suitable decisions regarding them as per provisions of the election law of the Shura Council members. It also discussed generalizations issued from the main committee. The meeting was presided over by His Eminence Sheikh Khalid bin Rashid al-Manwari, Deputy Head of the Higher Court. Aiming to render best one-stop services to investors at the Special Economic Zone Authority in Duqm, the authority and Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry signed a memorandum of understanding to organize cooperation between the two parties. The MOU stated that the OCCI renders the one-stop services in the zone through programs and regulations worked upon. The two parties shall cooperate on promoting for this zone inside and outside the Sultanate by holding lectures, seminars, workshops and economic conferences as well as exhibitions. The MOU was signed by each of His Excellencies Yahya bin Saeed bin Abdullah Jabri, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Authority, and His Excellency Saeed bin Saleh al-Kiyumi, Chairman of the Board of Directors of OCCI. And still to come in our news bulletin. Oman Sail records a successful participation in Kiel Marine Festival in Germany. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Daesh group claimed responsibility for an attack on two Houthi rebel leaders in Sana'a last night. Medics said had killed at least 28 people, including 8 women. The car bomb attack targeted Houthi rebel chief brothers Faikal and Hamid Jayashe during a gathering to mourn the death of a family member. Houthi rebels closed down the surrounding area in the center of the city after the attack, only allowing through emergency services to help evacuate the victims. Daesh group, which marked the first anniversary of the declaration of its caliphate in Iraq and Syria today, has been ramping up deadly attacks in Yemen since March. An Indonesian Air Force transport plane crashed into a residential neighborhood in the country's third largest city of Medan shortly after takeoff today, killing dozens of people. Television footage showed the wreckage of the downed C-130 Hercules, a crumpled burning car, and a shattered building that local media said contained a spa and a home. Officials said 37 bodies had been transported to Medan's Adam Malik Hospital, including a child who was probably about a year old. At least 7 people are killed in a suicide bomb attack on NATO troops as their truck convoy passed down the main road running between Kabul's airport and the U.S. Embassy. The force of the blast rattled windows in the capital's heavily guarded diplomatic enclave and sent a huge column of grey smoke skywards. The explosion took place close to a busy shopping area, and Kabul's police chief said both foreigners and Afghan civilians were among the casualties. Most NATO troops left Afghanistan last year when the combat mission ended, and only a small contingent remained to train Afghan security forces. A ceremony was held today to inaugurate the National Automotive Hire Institute, which is the first of its type in the Sultanate. The institute will provide automotive sector with national cadres like technicians and specialists. It also aims to rehabilitate 390 students in its first academic year through diplomas and general diploma programs. The institute depends on modern education and training programs to upgrade the human resources in cooperation with a number of international specialist institutes in manufacturing cars. Dubai Mercantile Exchange (DME) said that the Oman oil price July delivery reached $60.13. The DME statement said today that the price of Oman oil rose 25 cents from yesterday's price, which was $59.88. The average price of Oman oil July delivery 2015 has stabilized at $63.62, thus $4.94 per barrel higher than June's delivery. Muscat Securities Market (MSM's) general index today lost 6.77 points, comprising a decline by 0.11% to close at 6,424 points. The trading value today stood at 3.76 million Omani Riyals, comprising a decline by 26% compared to the last session, which stood at 5.08 million Riyals. The report released by MSM pointed out that the market value declined by 0.02% to reach about 15.03 billion Omani Riyals. Oman Sail recorded a successful participation in the Kiel Marine Festival in Germany that consists of the biggest gathering of sailing boats in Europe. During the festival, the Ministry of Tourism launched a promotional corner that portrays the Omani architecture design, including sections displaying natural and cultural diversity of the Sultanate. Oman Sail's Musandam kept its record number achieved last year after winning in the opening race in Kiel. Through this participation, Musandam succeeded in its promotional campaign for the Sultanate in a number of European markets, such as France, United Kingdom, Germany, and Italy. And now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas in the nearby mountains of the Governorate of Dhofar, with chances of intermittent drizzle and fog on the mountains. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with low clouds on the Hajar Mountains, the Governorates of Wusta and South Sharqiyya. Winds will be variably northeasterly light to moderate along the coast of the Sea of Oman, while it will be northwesterly light to moderate, occasionally active along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast of the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 3 meters, and the rest of the coast it will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attacks which killed the top public prosecutor of Egypt. The State Council approves the draft law of land transport and reviews legislations organizing the wastewater sector. And the Special Economic Zone Authority at Duqm and Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry sign a memorandum of understanding to provide services for the investors. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.